The VIX is getting a little bit of a cool off, down about 5.54%. Gold is continuing to rise, up about 4% on the day. US government bonds on the 10-year is continuing to rise, as well as Japanese 10-year bonds. And then we are also seeing the divergence between USD, JPY still in the red, as well as the DXY, which is the US dollar index, in the red as well. So I don't think things are over. We have US tariffs that officially went into effect today. China, we have a 104% tariff. As we saw, Trump said if China does not remove their tariff by midnight, we are going to add an additional tariff. Then you obviously have the other countries of tariffs. This is the SPY on the 5-minute time frame. Why are we green on the day? Why are we continuing to rally? Well, we are just pressing up on 500, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Watch until the end of the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn post notifications on. On top of the tariffs we put on China, the US now plans base port fees for Chinese vessel capacity, according to the Wall Street Journal. There are major trade wars between the US and China, whether that is something that they're putting on a show for, whether that's an act for them to push the Fed to cut rates, or whether there's something else behind the scenes. I have seen several theories. The point is, it's happening, whether it's fake or not. And Shark Tank's Kevin O'Leary, I figured I'd throw this in, calls for a 400% tariff on China, yet the SPY is still green. Let's take a look at it. This is the 4-hour time frame, and we can see that the SPY is building some sort of support, and there is a huge green box down here. What is this green box? This is major buy orders. This is a huge buy block on the SPY. Now, what I want to point out to you is that the SPY is building support, but it's not building support off of institutional investors. And I think this is a major warning. You see, we're building support on very low volume. I think retail is buying in, and some people are anticipating a Fed cut in May. Okay, we saw a May 7th meeting posted for the Fed, and people are assuming that there is going to be an emergency cut over here by the Fed. Traders see more than 60% chance that the Fed will cut interest rates in May. Now, what is so important about this that in retail investors don't understand, that institutions do potentially understand, is that whether they cut rates or whether they don't cut rates, what's so confusing is that it is still bearish. Okay, the Fed maybe will cut rates in May. However, they're not cutting rates. They're cutting rates because of a slowing economy. They're cutting rates because of dangerous factors, which is going to bring inflation back up. Okay, we have also a falling currency as of right now based on the chart. There are a lot of factors that go into today's market, and what we're seeing is fading volume on up days and increased volume on down days, institutions not stepping in, and we see major entities like JP Morgan, the CEO of JP Morgan, saying that there is still more downside. Okay, so we are not out of the woods just yet. If I bring in the drawings right here, here's what we're seeing for the SPY. The SPY came in this parallel channel, broke below, gapped down, got into this liquidity zone, sold off beneath it, and is getting some sort of bounce, testing it, but getting rejected. Okay. Point is, if the SPY saw a major relief rally, I'd watch between 536.50 and 542 for it to top out. Do I see that coming? No, I don't. In fact, the levels that I see happening, I don't see the SPY closing above 480 by the end of the week, by Friday. I've called this out in Discord. I've said it. So the first level of liquidity zone that I see is between 466 and 480 or 478 on the SPY. That is the first level, which I think will get hit. Maybe that'll shake out the last paper hands. And then the major level after that, if that doesn't hold, I see the SPY likely holding between 423 and 380. Okay, I know that's a long drop, but we have seen crashes that were much further down than this, and I think this is where the SPY will likely hold. There is heavy support here at these ranges, and I think if the SPY gets down through these other zones, that is where we will hit. And in that time being, then I do see major margin calls hitting and major squeezes. We'll talk about GameStop in a second and other squeeze plays that I want to give you. But what I want you to pay attention to is we have weekly initial jobless claims, and that is coming out April 11th. And then we have some other data that comes out before May. And what this is going to do is, let's say traders are anticipating a cut or pricing in a cut. This is what institutions are going to wait for, and I'll tell you right now. Traders pricing in a cut, maybe we get a cut. However, if these numbers come out late May that show that the economy is bad, right? That the consumer is suffering, that we're seeing major things break down and we see long-term pain ahead. This is where institutional investors will continue to sell off, crash the market. Major entities crash the market. It's not going to look good. And especially if tensions increase by the end of the month, then maybe during that cut, April or May 7th, if we get a cut, then things will rebound. Either way, it's going to cause major liquidity issues across the board, and it's not over yet. Treasury Secretary Bessent says Wall Street has grown wealthier for 4 decades. So the next 4 years, it's Main Street's turn. And then we also have JP Morgan CEO saying, I am not seeing defaults yet, but I expect them. Okay, getting into GameStop's chart really quick, but I just want to throw this at the middle of the video. Guys, if you're not in my Discord server, join. It's the first link in the top of the description. If you're not in any Discords yet, make sure to join mine. Try it out. If you don't like it, feel free to leave, but I bet that you will very, very much so enjoy it. I have people come in here and they have blown accounts and they grow their accounts from hundreds of dollars to thousands of dollars within the first couple of weeks. So this is a great spot for you guys. But on top of that, just overall amazing vibes, amazing family in the Discord server. Again, make sure to join, and we have tons of benefits in there. It's not like you're paying 20 bucks just for a little group chat. We have crazy alerts that you get for free, access to every tier in there, all channels, right? So GameStop's trading at 23.62. It looks like it's trying to form a little bit of a head and shoulders pattern. I would watch for a hold between 23 and 22.30 on GameStop. Those are just some zones that I'd watch. If we fail 22.30 at any point, you're likely to come down to that 21.50 range or sub 20 if we get back below that 21.50 range, coming back into this descending parallel channel, in which case, like I said, you're likely to see a bottom on everything between April 4th and April 11th. We're coming up on April 11th, which is Friday, which is exactly where I see the SPY potentially flushing down to by Friday. I do still think it will be between 460 and 480 by Friday, no matter what happens today, no matter what happens tomorrow. And I am sticking by that, and I will still call for that. As far as GameStop goes, for that's for the downside. Now, if we do see more margin calls or we see a V-shaped recovery, I do still think we are right on the verge of a squeeze. Just to add that in there, I know you guys know that. But between now, April 20th, late April, coming into May, that is what we're likely to see, right? We're likely to see a squeeze that we've been waiting for. As far as AMC goes, very, very much so the same thing. It's actually building a base off of this 260 level. There's a lot of buyers. We could not break below this and make a lower low, which also just points out to me, I know AMC and GameStop are disconnected a little bit, at least than what they used to be. And a lot of people say that AMC is a crappy company, whatever. I'm not getting into that. I have my concerns and issues with that, but what I can tell you is that they couldn't push this below 237 or 235 at any point, and I think this is the bottom for a very, very long time on AMC, which also just indicates that, one, good buying opportunity, in my personal opinion. Nothing I say is financial advice, but also that we are close to a squeeze. And like Greg posted today, the nice thing about stocks and crypto is it has infinite upside, but can only go down 100%. Hopefully you guys hint at what he's getting at. Yesterday, I gave you BKKT. It was up about 10% today, but again, I still want you to keep a side eye on it. The next thing I'm giving you is DJT. Not because Donald Trump posted it, but actually he posted in time to line up with an algorithmic move. This is a great time to buy DJT, right? So most people would buy in, and then you're likely to see a sell-off following. But if we come in and we take a look at the algorithms, this is exactly the same thing coming into probably April 14th to April, let's see, when the end of the week, April 14th to April 17th, you're likely to see a pop, not to this degree, but about $20, right? That's what I expect. DJT, $20 by next Friday. So grabbing, late April expiration or early May expiration $20 calls is something that I was watching earlier. Bitcoin. I want to talk about this because predictions have not only came true, but they were actually perfect. Uh, Coming down, getting a little bit of a pop, selling off even further before a massive move. If the SPY has bottomed here, this would also make sense. If the SPY hasn't bottomed here, it also doesn't matter because we have seen the SPY sell off, Bitcoin kind of holding its own, and GameStop is going to have that Bitcoin proxy now, especially if they announce how much they bought and if it's a crazy amount, so on and so on. But what I do want to bring up is that even if Bitcoin fails to make an all-time high or have a crazy super cycle in 2025, right? What we're looking at is altcoins. And what I want to point out is that people, when XRP was up here above $3, were dying. They said, they were dying to get this thing under $2. If it came back under $2, I'm loading the boat. And now that it's under here and the market's in such fear, people don't want to buy into it. But what I can tell you is when you see a breakout like this on XRP, a major breakout, what you do is you find the first point of weakness, which technically is down here, but you find the point of weakness between this wick where it finally stalled out. You grab this liquidity zone and you wait for a retrace into there. And we got that retrace right into there. And you can see that big retail whales, big institutional whales wanted to buy this up. We saw a major volume candle right there. And that's because I bet there were so many limit buys at $1.63, right? $1.61, $1.62. And I bet there is even more limit buys just under that didn't get swept. And then you also see this zone actually extends further because it comes down to this wick and you can grab it to the bottom point of this weakness. At this point, it's unlikely XRP will ever get back below $1, or maybe to shake people out, scare people, maybe it hits 99 cents. But ultimately, this is the zone you see. Now people are worried. What am I trying to get at? I'm trying to get at the fact that altcoins are on an extreme sale. And even if you bought now and we don't see a rip this year, you're likely to see a great return on these investments. In my personal opinion, I can't give financial advice. I can't tell you what to buy, hold, or sell in the future. Okay. Cardano, Dogecoin's at 14 cents. It gave back every single level that it smashed through on this run up. And I just want to point that out there. Amazon canceled some inventory orders from China after the tariffs went into effect, which brings me into a couple of companies that I want to talk about. If the SPY gets a little bit of a rebound, sure, that's fine. If not, this is either way what I see happening with these blue chip stocks. In my opinion, I'm looking at these charts and I'm thinking this wasn't a crash. This is just a retracement back down to critical support. What I'm looking for is a larger sell-off. I was hoping Amazon got back up to around 190 before rejecting again. It only got up to about 185, 186. And I would hope for Amazon to get down between sub 150 and just over 136.50. Okay, in this next fib level between the 0.5 and the 618 is where I expect Amazon to come down to if the SPY wicks down even further, as well as Palantir. I do think if we see any more weakness on the SPY, which I anticipate by Friday, Palantir will be on sale at $60 pretty soon, and it's going to not stay there too long. It's probably going to be very brief. As well as Nvidia, I just want to state if we do see a 30+% crash on the S&P 500. Keep in mind, we only went down about 21.5, 22%. Then Nvidia is likely to be on fire sale at $73, $74. Tesla, last but not least, I want to talk about this because I think if Tesla gets any sort of rejection, listen, it's up 5%, but Elon doesn't agree with Trump's tariffs that he's putting out. But on top of that, Tesla does a lot of business in China. What I'm seeing right now is some sort of bull trap here. It's also rejecting off of this trend line. And ultimately, on lower volume, I see Tesla coming down if we see a crash of 35% or so on the SPY. Again, we've only been down 22%. I see Tesla coming down sub 160, between 157 and 130. Okay, that is where I would see major buying on Tesla. Maybe if we don't get down there, maybe we get a bounce at 182. Either way, major buying opportunities is what I see for Tesla down at these levels. And I see it as a potential possibility. I'm not saying this is likely. I'm not calling for it, but it's a potential trade setup and running a stop. Okay, overall, guys, that is what I got for you for today's video. Again, this is the Top One Futures platform. I am currently, this video went out a little bit late. I mean, normal time, but I was up probably throughout the night because I couldn't really sleep. But I was trading a little bit over here. If you want an account like this, it's the second link in the description. Again, the prices for the straight up live accounts are going to be cut in half when you use my code LOTTO at checkout. So make sure to go do that. Level yourself up, guys, and you can take a payout whenever you profit 3K or more, you can start taking payouts from them. Make sure to get in my Discord server, get your free stocks, all that good stuff. That is it, guys. I love you all. God bless. Lottery Stocks out.